Harvesting herring has been prohibited in North Carolina since 2007, with a similar ban going into effect for most parts of Virginia in 2012. Specifically, the ban encompasses both alewife and blueback heron, or what most locals would just refer to as heron or shad. Even though adult heron only typically reach 10 inches, the commercial and recreational impact on banning this species has had major consequences to the Carolina coast, with many locals questioning the long-term plan and potential timeline of removing the ban. Before I discuss the ramifications of this ban and the future of heron fishing, let's first look at what exactly these fish are. Blueback heron are migratory fish which occur throughout the Atlantic coast, spanning from Nova Scotia, Canada, all the way down to Florida. Their life cycle starts in winter or spring, depending on the climate, when male heron run up freshwater rivers and streams from the ocean to spawn. There, juvenile fish will spend 3 to 4 months before beginning their migration back to the ocean. The typical adult length is 10 to 11 inches, with the largest recorded blueback heron being just shy of 16 inches. The average lifespan is 8 to 9 years, with the fish returning to spawn at their hatching place at around 3 to 5 years of age. They primarily consume copepods, small shrimp, and small fish, and they are popular prey for many species of fish, both freshwater and saltwater, including cod, salmon, tuna, and bass. Now that we've reviewed heron in depth, let's look at their history within the Tar Heel State. Heron fishing in Carolina dates back long before the state was colonized by European settlers. Many indigenous tribes, including the Choanoke, Tuscarora, and Meherrin, fished for heron, both for food and trade. The predominant fishing waters were the Albemarle Sound and its corresponding rivers, the Chowan, Roanoke, Alligator, Paspetank, and Perquimans. Heron were described as in such abundance that you could simply dip a net in the water and it would be full once you lifted it. This abundance of fish would soon be capitalized on during the 18th century, with large-scale commercial heron fisheries benefiting from high fish density, slave labor, and expanding trade routes to fuel profits. This would continue for most of the 19th and 20th century, with salted heron being a low-cost source of protein that could be stored for prolonged periods of time, making it an effective food for locals and distant trading. Per Charles Heath Jr.'s A Culture of River Herring and Shad Fisheries in Eastern North Carolina, the highest annual landings for river heron since 1887 came in 1969, with a haul of just under 20 million pounds harvested. However, that endless harvest would soon come to an end. By 1990, the total heron harvest in North Carolina was just above 1.1 million pounds, a near 95% decrease over 20 years. The overfishing, water pollution, and dam construction of the past 200 years had caught up. New regulations capping the harvest size and shortening the harvest season were implemented in 1995, but at that point, it was too little, too late. In the following years, regulations continued to tighten in attempts to rehabilitate the population. Nearly all dedicated commercial heron fishers would have to diversify into other species or give up their business. Regulations continued to increase into 2007, when the commercial and recreational fishing of heron would be banned altogether. The North Carolina Department of Marine Fisheries would face backlash from the public, but insisted this was the only way. Of course, this move would rapidly resurrect the dwindled heron population and be celebrated by all as the best plan moving forward, right? Well, not quite. Local fishermen and fishing adjacent small businesses would be driven to shut down. Local restaurants, which specialized in fresh herons, would also take a major hit. Not only would it hurt economically, but also culturally, as heron fishing both commercially and recreationally had been a tradition in the coastal Carolina region. One example of this is the North Carolina Heron Festival in Janesville, North Carolina, which was founded in 1948 and abruptly ended in 2023, with the 2024 festival being canceled, as well as the 2025. Another example is the Cypress Grill on the Roanoke River, that was known for serving fresh heron and a historic fishing shack, unfortunately burnt down in 2018 and was never rebuilt. Obviously, these examples have external factors, but they do demonstrate how the heron ban has impacted the local population both financially and culturally. So how is the heron population as of recent? Well, kind of okay. A 2022 study by the North Carolina Department of Marine Fisheries stated that the blueback heron population has been increasing, but was still only 12% of the target. The overall biomass and repeat spawners as of the 2022 report remained well below the index which the department considered healthy. The department attributes the continued struggles after the ban to environmental issues, such as habitat loss from bridges and dams, as well as pollution within the water. Unfortunately, the recovery of heron within Carolina may take much longer, even after a near 2-decade ban. Since the 2000s, there have been no winners in this issue, with local fishermen going out of business, the Department of Marine Fisheries being blamed, and the heron population still at statistically all-time lows. From my perspective, the North Carolina Department of Marine Fisheries nor the NC Wildlife Department is to blame, and neither are today's local commercial fishermen. The decimation of the heron population has come from centuries of overfishing and habitat loss. Harvesting millions of pounds of herons for nearly 200 years depleted the abundance of the species. It just happens to be our generation that is correcting the wrongs of the past, which means we may have to wait many more years, but can ensure that the heron continue to survive and thrive within North Carolina. So what can you do? First and foremost, catching and releasing heron to ensure they can continue to reproduce, and simply, to follow the law. Ensuring not to leave trash or pollute local waterways, especially within the Albemarle Sound water system, where constant bridge construction and expansion continue to destroy spawning habitats. And lastly, advocate with local officials to dedicate more funds and resources towards improving and protecting public waterways. Hopefully within our lifetime we will be able to bring back the commercial fisheries and traditions that came with heron, only this time in a more sustainable way. In the description of this video, I'll be leaving sources from both the NC Wildlife Department and local journalists that dive into what's being done to recover the heron population, and also a perspective on the tradition and heritage within the region. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.